warm welcome back to the Information Security Stack, together with me, Daniel Gustafsson, and Kim Hindert. Today, Kim, we are going to talk about human rights. And before you get too upset here, we're not going to discuss human rights in all context. We're going to discuss human rights from a privacy context and perspective.
Especially, why did the European Court of Justice dismantle Privacy Shield completely?
Yes.
And why is there no real hope of doing a safe harbor Privacy Shield workaround again? Third time around. Third time is ago. You should remember perhaps a bit of civics lesson within EU here. The European Court of Justice is a Court of Justice that has authority over national countries, sovereign nations. What is it that the actual European Court of Justice is ruling upon? What are their basic constitutions, so to speak? And that's the important part. The only constitution that transcends all nations from the European Court of Justice point of view is, unlike the US Constitution, where you have a union, where you have a common constitution, and the Supreme Court of the United States is ruling things that are in the needs an interpretation of the US Constitution. The European Court of Justice is ruling upon the United Nations Charter of Human Rights.
Yes.
That's the basic constitution that the European Court of Justice is ruling upon. That's why the European Court of Justice can go and say, Sweden, you are violating human rights.
Yes.
Romania, you are violating human rights. And that's against our core value in EU.
Yep.
So EU doesn't have the same type of constitution that was made by founding fathers as the USA.
No.
But the one important principle that all EU members have signed on is the United Nations Charter of Human Rights. And that's what they rule on. And this is why it's especially tricky, because it's not a trade negotiation. They have deemed that the practice in the United States Foreign Intelligence Gathering, this is called FISA, Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act.
Yep.
They have deemed that by itself, on how it's applied, breaks human rights.
Yep.
Now you cannot do anything from a corporate to corporate agreement perspective.
Business to business.
No, you cannot do anything on a business to business perspective.
No.
Now you can't even do anything from a nation to nation perspective.
No.
United States need to change how they conduct foreign intelligence surveillance, or they will still violate human rights. So it's up to the nation that violates the human rights to do some changes.
According to the EU, yes.
Yes.
The way they see it.
So Article 10 of the Human Rights. Everyone is entitled in full equality to a fair and public hearing by an independent and impartial tribunal in the determination of his rights and obligations and of any criminal charge against him.
Yes.
This is completely the opposite of what the FISA trial is doing. FISA trial is a secret trial. Mind you, this is perfectly legal in the United States Constitution, but it's a secret tribunal held in secret where you, as the accused, don't even know that they've had a trial about you.
No.
In secret, but you have been appointed a public defender. So according to the US Constitution, your rights are observed.
Yeah.
But it's still held completely in secret for you and for anyone else. And that's classified, so no one else can do it.
No.
So they've held a trial with you as a defendant without you even knowing it. This is opposite.
Directly counter opposite
to what the Human Rights Charter says. And that's an important thing to notice, that this is actually what the EU Court of Justice found troublesome.
Yep.
And there's no commercial term that can change this.
No.
It has to be changed on the US side first. And that's why, even though there is a nice handshake with von der Leyen and Biden, Biden needs to change a lot about how they perform foreign intelligence surveillance first.
And it's not just that; it needs to stick as well. He can make a change, but it needs to stick with the next.
And this
president.
is the extremely tricky part, because people say, but why don't you vote it in the Congress and stuff?
Yeah.
Like, no, this has been already ruled by the Supreme Court of the United States. When it comes to foreign intelligence surveillance against foreign citizens, not non-US citizens, then it's up to the sole discretion of the president. So even if Biden agrees to this, it can change from the next president to the next president to the next president.
And it kind of has, but the law has always been. I mean, it's been there since 1976, I believe it was founded. So it's been there for a long time. But again, and we say this all the time as well. This is EU's point of view regarding their point of view of human rights and human privacy. Where the counter opposite part comes in, and this is where we are stuck right now. Everyone is talking about the whole privacy shield and the former safe harbor agreement, that it was a technical problem. No, it's not. It's a law. It's on the lawyer's side. It's the interpretation of a law or the implementation of a law. And I can fully understand why the US has their FISA law as it is. I can totally understand their point of view as well. And I can also see the point of view that why should they change just because the EU thinks it's not the proper right way to do it. But this is where we're stuck currently. And the hopes that this will change within the next couple of weeks, months, or even a year, no. Even if they start today and start to really work on a proposal, the whole process to get that changed through, minimum 2 years. Problem with that is 2 years from now, I highly doubt that Mr. Biden will be the president of the USA, United States. So then we need to restart the whole process with a new president, regardless if it's a Republican or Democrat, doesn't matter.
They might just have a different opinion on what's appropriate foreign intelligence surveillance measures.
So, and again, then it has to then be a new law proposal presented from the US, which then the EU countries, all 26 members of the EU, needs to agree upon, which is the second step. And if you ever try to change a law in just a country, you know that's a process. Now we're talking about 27 countries that needs to agree. And first and foremost, the US needs to come, well, they need to say, yeah, we're going to change our law, which again, I kind of don't see why they should.
And it needs to, as you say, it needs to stick over president to president.
Yeah.
And that's absolutely no guarantee. And there's absolutely no tooling to make this other than changing the US Constitution.
No.
And sorry to say, believe me, good luck with that.
I struggle to see that that's going to be a quick process, at least. It's not a quick fix, to have that said.
We're talking plenty of years.
Yeah.
Before we can have an amendment in the US Constitution.
Yeah.
So no.
And the second part of this, now, okay, so the real reason why we are so upset about this in Europe is because the whole situation affects us monumentally in terms of what type of services we can use, and the whole, can we use American hyperscalers, yes or no, in various situations, and that's put us in Europe in a really, really bad position. But that's our fault, Europe. That's on us. That's not on the US. US doesn't have the problem we have with the services not being available for us. And then it becomes a bigger, larger topic. So again, we're not talking about technical solutions. We're talking about interpretations of law, needs of law. Why are they implemented in the first place? Well, one of the reasons why the US has the FISA law to begin with is because of all the activities that's been going on against the US for a number of years. Terrorist attacks and so on and so forth. And you can absolutely make the claim, well, that, the US has a part in that, of course they do. But with that being said, it's up to the US to protect America.
And here we come into the really tricky part,
Mm-hmm.
because we haven't even gotten past that yet.
No.
We have come to the Article 12 of the Charter
Yes.
of the Human Rights. No one shall be subject to arbitrary interference with his privacy, family, home, or correspondence, nor to attack upon his honor and reputation.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone has the right to the protection of the law against such interference and attacks.
Mm.
Intelligence surveillance, secret surveillance of you as an individual.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about you, but I would say it breaks a bit of these principles.
Yeah. And then the argument becomes, well, the EU does the same thing against other countries. Probably.
Yeah,
this is not just a one-way street to have that said.
No, of course not.
No. But this is where we are stuck. The EU are standing on the human rights principles of the UN.
Mhm.
That's where we stand. And according to those human rights, we are currently in a situation where an American law, in the EU's perspective, is breaking those human rights. But again, the US are protecting US citizens. That's their main focus.
So the US Constitution, we need to remember, it's not a constitution for everyone. It's a constitution for US citizens.
Only. And that's the way it's always been. Since that document was founded once upon a time. So in this whole scenario, in this whole discussion, where I believe we fail to realize where the real issue lies, is not technical, it's not agreement based, it's not business to business, it's not between you and me as a client and a provider. And then no general terms or no standard contractual clauses can fix any of this, because they are all subject to the law, and the law always wins. The problem is we have a law in the US and a law in the EU that is conflicting.
And before that is resolved by either party, either you can make the UN change the Charter on Human Rights.
That's always an option as well. Yeah, for sure.
You can make EU change the stance on it's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
By foreign intelligence mass surveillance things.
Yeah. But then we can shut down the office in Brussels.
Yeah. Or you can see if the United States are willing to change their procedures against non-US citizens.
But one of the three has to give.
Yeah. And neither one of them is likely to be anytime soon. Just that.
No. And understandably so. So we said this before and we say it again. Once upon a time, the IT industry and IT services was a thing of IT industry for IT services. Today, it's politics.
Yeah.
1000% politics. We are in the business of politics. We're not in the business of technical solutions that is the most suited for our clients anymore. And again, now we are super focused, especially in the EU, regarding the whole situation with the US. But keep in mind, we have the same scenarios and same situations with other portions of the world which does not support the UN human rights writings either. So we have parts in Russia, we have parts in the eastern part of the world, Middle East, where we have the same scenario there. The one major difference is that we are not dependent on their technical solutions. The only thing that we might run into a problem right now is Chinese hardware. You might notice it's kind of hard to get the hold of Chinese of hardware these days because the production is solely based in China. But we don't purchase Chinese software in the same level that we do US software. This is where we have the issue right now, because also on the software layer, this is where we run into the legal issues. So politics, it's what we're doing, not technical solutions. Human rights and politics. And if you want to have a closer discussion with us, if you have further questions, please contact us at klura.com/podcast. Until next time, Have a great week.
Hubba.